Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagat Guru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, is officially coronated as the Guru Mahasannidhanam of the Kailasa Paramparagata Swarna Pita Sarvanya Pita Swargapura Samrajyam. Let us look at this Leela. The Kailasa Paramparagata Swarna Pita Sarvanya Pita Swarna Pita Swargapura Samrajyam is located in South India, predominantly in the state of Kerala. The Swargapura Samrajyam, which is the state and the spiritual kingdom, was established by Paramashiva, who incarnated as Swarna Siddhar in Tiruvannamalai. From its original founder, Bhagavan Sri Paramashiva, and the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, the Swargapura Samrajyam represents an authentic spiritual ecosystem and kingdom. As we read out in this slide, the Samrajyam, the Swarnapita Samrajyam, is a very special one, where it is a state and a spiritual kingdom, which means that this was a kingdom where the Guru established himself as the king as well as the Guru Mahasannidhanam.
The Kailasa Paramparagata Sarvanyapita, Swarnapita Swargapuram Samrajyam, the spiritual and religious kingdom, was established by Paramashiva and revived in the 12th century by the Mahan great seer Srila Sri Agazyar Tiruchitrambala Desikar, seen in the photograph on the left side. He was the son of Shiva Tirunyan, Shivanyana Desika Acharya and Shiva Kumara Sundari. He attained enlightenment at the age of 7 with his guru, the sage Tamba. The presiding deity, the deity of Paramashiva and his divine consort. The deities are called Arulmigu Maruttunaneswara Swami and his consort, Sri Attachanyayaki Amman.
The deities of Swargapuram Samrajyam, as we are looking at here, is Srila Sri Aragya Tiruchitrambala Desigar. As we can see in the photograph, he is the one who revived the entire Swargapura Samrajyam. And what we're looking at in between, Arulmigu Mardhavaneshwara Swami and the divine consort of Mardhavaneshwara Swami, Sri Akshayanayaki Amman, who is the divine consort of Arulmigu Mardhavaneshwara Swami. Here, Paramashiva incarnated as Mardhavaneshwara Swami and his divine consort, Arulmigu Akshayanayaki Amman. The Kailasa Paramparagata Swarna Pita Sarvanya Pita Swargapura Samrajyam was established by Paramashiva and revived by Srila Sri Aragya Tiruchitrambala Desika Bandara Sannadhi, who hails from the direct lineage of Paramashiva through his guru, sage Tamba, one of the 18 sages of the Hindu history. The Adinam is located in the Tiruvarur district, Nannilam circle, which was a region falling within the reign of the Chera kingdom or dynasty. The Chera king, here we are looking at the history of the Swargapura Samrajyam. The Chera king at the time had a daughter who had fallen fatally ill. On being approached by the king for healing, the powerful sage Tamba healed her even before the king had verbalized the reason for which he had approached the sage. Out of sheer gratitude for this selfless act, the king decided to bequeath the sage Tamba with wealth, land and facilities, which the sage gave to his disciple, Srila Sri Aragya Tiruchitrambala Desika Bandara Sannadhi. So here we're looking at the history where, as we know in Hinduism, the gurus and the Guru Mahasannidhanams, the enlightened masters, always knew what is needed for their disciples, what is needed for their subjects. So as soon as the king approached the sage with his devotion, immediately Tiruchitrambala Desikar was able to experience that oneness, and the sage Tamba immediately healed. And when the king had given the land, sage Tamba had given it to his disciple, Srila Sri Aragya Tiruchitrambala Desika Bandara Sannadhi, to carry on his lineage. Nityanam, everybody. Sorry for the technical glitch. Here, we're looking at one of the most important deities of Paramashiva himself coming down as the Spatika Linga. The kingdom of Swargapuram flourished with abundant lands, and Annadan Mat, educational institutions, charity organizations, felicitation of scholarly poets, helping the needy who come to the Mat, flourishing of the teaching of Shaiva Siddhanta, hospitals giving protection and helping the orphans. A Spatika Linga, which is a crystal linga, and the puja methods to offer worship to it, teaching the traditions of the specific lineage of acharyas and enlightenment. So you can see pretty much the Swargapura Samrajyam, the Swargapuram, the entire Pita itself reverberated and was a hub of all the best happenings in the Vedic tradition at that point in time in the Cherari. So if you look at how the ancient monastic kingdoms was a center of the hub, you will see that it is the gurus who actually, the enlightened masters, the enlightened gurus, the incarnations, who actually were the center of the entire civilization. They were the people who actually guided the entire civilization, including the king. And whenever a person would go through any problem or there was a need of any person, they would immediately fall back on the spiritual truths and the spiritual powerful cognitions that are shared by the gurus, where everyone's life was raised to higher states of consciousness.
Yes. So here we can see the Guru Mahasannidhanam offering the worship to the Sphatika Linga, as we got to know that this kingdom, Swargapuram, was functioning as a full estate where all the different departments, all the machinery was working here, whether it is the hospitals or the university, to give the educations to all the being there, or the hospital. Every work was being conducted there. On the right side, you can see the Sphatika Linga during the worship by Guru Mahasannidhanam. Paramashiva, the cosmic source and the ultimate divinity, started the Swargapuram Samrajya, both the state and the spiritual kingdom. It is from Bhagavan Sri Paramashiva, the primordial source, who incarnated as a Swarna Siddhar in Tiruvannamalai, that the kingdom was established. Paramashiva's establishment was revived in the 12th century by the Mahan great seer Srila Sri Agazya Chitrambala Desikar. He was the son of Shiva, Sivanyana Desika Acharya, and Shiva Kama Sundari. He attained enlightenment at the age of 7 with his guru, the Stamba. The presiding deity, the deity of Paramashiva, and his divine consort, the deities are called Arulmegu, Marudwanamaleswar Swami and his consort, Sri Achyatanaiki Amman. So here again we get to see that this whole kingdom of Swargapura, Swarnapita, Swargapuram Samrajyam was established directly by Paramashiva and Parashakti. Both of them came here and established the state and the spiritual kingdom both. Means it had the state and the guru who was guiding this whole kingdom also. Paramashiva himself, who is the source, who himself incarnated as the Swarna Siddhar, and he established the kingdom. After a long time, again, this Matha was revived in the 12th century by the great seer, Srila Sri Agazya Chitrambal Desikar. He was also the son of Shiva Sanyana Desikar Acharya, and he attained the enlightenment along with his guru.
The Swargapuram Adinam is built on the Samadhi, which is the final resting place of the Swarna Siddhar, as you can see in the picture in the deity form. Paramashiva himself incarnated as the sage, taking birth in Tiruvannamalai, South India. He lived as an extraordinary spiritual power manifester, helping the poor and needy with his spiritual powers, manifesting gold for them. So as you can see the name, the Swarna Siddhar, Swarna in Sanskrit means gold, and Siddhar is the ancient mystic, the Siddhas. He was an extremely powerful power manifester, where he could make anything that he touches into gold, and he mastered the science of alchemy of converting anything into gold. Swarna Siddhar was the direct incarnation of Paramashiva. As Swamiji reveals time and again, whenever the humanity needs to have a conscious breakthrough, Paramashiva himself descends and raises the consciousness of the entire society. Similarly, even though the Swargapura Adinam, the Swargapura Samrajyam was founded by Paramashiva, followed by Tiruchitambala Desikar, after a certain period of time, when he had to give a conscious breakthrough, Paramashiva himself came down again as Swarna Siddhar and taught the science of alchemy, of converting anything into gold to the entire humanity. Here, we're looking at the history of the Kailasa Paramparagata Swarnapita Sarvanyapitam. The Hindu history records that there were two demons who roamed the area where the kingdom stands today. In order to slay these demons, goddess Parvati, the embodiment of the feminine superconsciousness, descended in a very ferocious form called Bhadrakali. At that time, Swarna Siddhar Mahan was in the midst of astral travel over this region. He landed in the spot to pay his obeisance to Divine Mother, and he requested her to reveal her Shantarupa, her serene form, which itself would destroy the negativity and enlighten people. To please her, he performed the Swarna Mahayagam, a powerful ritual. Pleased by him, Devi Parashakti shed her ferocious form and blessed him. As we witness today in the Adi Kailasa Sarvanyapitam, where the Swarna Krishna Bhairava Homa was done, the similar Homa was performed by Swarna Siddhar himself to please Devi Parashakti. Meanwhile, drawn by the powerful vibrations of his chanting, the various Siddhas and mystics who were meditating nearby, namely Suryananda Siddhar, Kurmananda Siddhar, Surupananda Siddhar, Sangili Siddhar, Satyanada Siddhar, sought him and spoke thus: "You are the Mahanubhava," means the great saint, who pacified Mahadevi, referring to Bhadrakali, who could not be pacified by anyone. So saying, they humbly requested him to accept them as his disciples. They then took leave from him. So as we can see here, when Paramashiva himself comes down, immediately the people who are in that space of feeling connection, the Siddhas who are there around that space, immediately got attracted to Paramashiva and started following and started living the principles that were shared by Swarna Siddhar at that time.
The Swarna Siddhar gave refuge to princes who fled their kingdom when conquered by the powerful kings. He empowered them to successfully win their kingdom back. Disapproving Swarna Siddhar's act, the king sent his men to find him, but in vain. However, Swarna Siddhar himself sought out the king in his kingdom. Using his spiritual powers, the Siddhar subjugated the king. The king surrendered to his powerful presence and gave him all his territory. The Siddhar then divided the territory appropriately. So here we get to see that when king was taking over to the kingdom and the different ruling was coming, the Swarna Siddhar again wanted to establish the conscious ruling. He took over the kingdom, and here we get to say that the king surrendered in front of the spiritual powers with which the Siddhar subjugated the king, and he also gave his all territory to the Siddhar.
Another thing that I would like to add over here is that even in our ancient times, the wars were never based on hard power, but it was based on inspiration and soft power. When the other person was able to inspire the other kingdom would surrender. And whenever adharma rises, and whenever people lost control or lost track of their dharma, immediately the great saints, as the incarnations of Paramashiva, would land and guide them back into living the conscious lifestyle. The Swarna Siddhar left his body along with his rare and powerful Nagam, which is a snake that used to live with him. Cognizing through their power of enlightenment that the Siddhar has attained the Jiva Samadhi, which is resting his body, the 5 disciples also attained Jiva Samadhi in their respective places. The day they attained the Jiva Samadhi was the Chitra Purnami. The Jiva Samadhi, once again, is a very unique aspect to the Hinduism. The Jiva Samadhi is where the mortal remains exist and continue to radiate the superconscious energy, radiate the physical presence of the Guru as they were living in the body. even after the masters leave the body. So the body became literally like a nuclear power source for superconscious energy. And anyone who would even come in the presence of the Jiva Samadhi of these great Siddhas would be initiated into the various spiritual teachings, powers that each of the Siddhas represented. So when Swarna Siddhar attained the Jiva Samadhi, when he left his body and just rested in the space of superconsciousness, seeing that his 5 devotees also did the same. Here we're looking at the different places where the 5 people, the 5 Siddhas, rested their body in Jiva Samadhi. On the Siddhas Jiva Samadhi, years later, Arulmigu Alagiya Tiruchittrambala Desigar ruled as the pontiff of the Swargapuram Adhinam. And in the 5 places where the 5 disciples attained Jiva Samadhi, 5 temples for Paramashiva was established. The first is the Arulmigu Mahagananatha Swami Tirukkoil, which is in the west of the Swargapuram Adhinam. The second is the Arulmigu Brahmapurishwarar Tirukkoil, Ambal, the east of the Swargapuram Adhinam. Next is the Arulmigu Abad Sageshwarar Tirukkoil, which is in the Kongarayanallu, which is in the south of the Swargapuram Adhinam. The fourth is the Arulmigu Arunachaleshwarar Tirukkoil, Agaraturamana, northwest of the Swargapuram Adhinam. And the fifth is the Arulmigu Amrtakadeshwarar Tirukkoil, Andakudi, in the northeast of the Swargapuram Adhinam. So as you can see, the Swarna Siddhar's body was placed right in the center, and around him, all the other 5 Siddhas rested their body in Jiva Samadhi. So this entire place itself, the entire kingdom of Swargapuram, was completely energized, literally like forming a circuit of the high enlightenment signs and energies, where anyone who would enter into the kingdom would immediately experience the lift in their superconsciousness, as they were surrounded by the Jiva Samadhis of the great Siddhas and Paramashiva himself. There are over 40 branches affiliated to this kingdom, out of which 20 are there in South India. Namely, the Nagapattinam district, Ambala village, Sirgadi circle, Tiruvengadu, Sirgadi Achalapuram, Tiruchirappalli, Kirchintamani, Sirgadi circle, Tillayari, Tanjavur Kodevayal, Chidambaram, Senkirani, Pillayar Kovil Street, Tiruvarur Annadanmat, Tiruneelar Tiruvidi, Tirunelveli Tirupadai Mardur, Tirunelveli Nanganeri Vamale Annadanamat, Tanjavur Karande Annadanamat, Nagur Muttai Chettiar Street Annadanamat, Nagapattinam Nagaram Dharmapurai Salai Annadanmat, Muttupettai Samayan Ode Annadanmat, Mayuram Nagaram Pudu Street Annadanmat, Kasi Gangai Karai Annadan Mandabam, Tanjai Karanta Takudi Annadanmat, Thuthukudi Nagaram Uppalam Pagudi, Tanjai Jilla Ayyampettai Annadanmat. So what we looked at here is actually 20 different branches of the Swargapuram Adhinam, which stands even today. And as you can see, most of these mats are actually Annadanmat, which means that the entire kingdom was so rich, flourishing in abundance, that continuously the pontiffs and the reigns of this great Samrajyam continuously served food to all the devotees and disciples who lived there. There was never even once a burden or a small iota of pain in terms of any kind of food that is needed. Because of the enlightenment signs that prevailed and the Jiva Samadhi of these ancient and great souls who existed there, the Siddhas, because of them, the land was energized and they all held together to one principle of serving the people of Paramashiva, the devotees and the disciples of Paramashiva. That is the reason so many Annadan mats were established continuously.
So now we'll look into the divine lineage of Kailasa Paramparagata, Swarna Pitha, Sarvanya Pitha, Swargapuram Samrajya. The disciples were appointed in later times to run the mutt as the successor. A Shiva temple in the name Sri Marutwana Swami was established, and all the pontiffs were to rule assuming the title Srila Sri Marutwana Swami. Succeeding Srila Sri Agastya Tiruchitrambala Desikar, the following served as the pontiff. This table contains the details of the name, month of attaining Samadhi, the Vedic nakshatra on which Samadhi was attained, and the location of the Samadhi. All of the Sannidhanams, pontiffs who have graced the Swargapuram Adinam, Swarna Mahapitham kingdom. So here, as we get to see, the various disciples, once the Paramashiva started this lineage, after that, various other disciples were also appointed to rule the mutt as the successors. Also, a Shiva temple with the name was established there, and all the pontiffs were given the specific title called Srila Sri Marutwana Swami.
The reason that they received the title of Marutwana Swami is because whenever a pontiff is elected or a pontiff is decreed, it means that he is the direct legal heir of Paramashiva himself. So he literally assumes the name, the title of Paramashiva himself. And that is how the lineage of these gurus continuously happen, where in every Adinam, in every Samrajyam, the name of Paramashiva himself is given to the one who is elected as the next Sannidhanam or as the next pontiff. As Paramashiva himself, once the initiation is received, Paramashiva himself graces the entire kingdom through that particular lineage, through that particular pontiff. Now, before we enter into the next segment to understand about the history and the various different temples of the kingdom, let us have a short break.
Time itself is nothing but your decision to struggle with the same rut. Your decision to struggle with the same rut is time, Kala. Your decision to swallow time is Kala Bhairava. Stand. Be a conscious woman or man. Be conscious being. Shrink the time through conscious will persistence. Make the future into present by being ferocious with yourself.
Nithyanam, everybody, welcome back. Let us now look at the temples of the Kailasa Paramparagata, Swarnapita Sarvanyapita, Swargapura Samrajyam. The first is the Ambar Makalam Koil. This is an ancient temple that is situated on the northern banks of the river of Arsalare. As per the stone inscription that is available in this temple, the temple was first built in the 12th century AD by King Kulothunga Cholan I and later extended by the King Vikrama Cholan. The historical names of this place are Marapuri and Indrapuri. Let us look at the Puranic history of the Ambar Mahakalam Koil. In the Hindu scripture, sage Durvasa, who is actually an incarnation of Paramashiva, was once traveling to worship Paramashiva in the form of Sri Brahmapurishwara, where Paramashiva is worshipped as the Lord of the universe. On his way, a demon woman named Madalole saw him and fell in love with him. She pleaded for a child through him. He blessed her and she conceived two demonic children named Amban and Ambarasuran. When she breastfed her two children, they drank her blood instead. In this way, she died. But before dying, she told her two children to worship Brahmapurishwara. They obeyed her and worshipped Paramashiva in this form every single day with devotion. They grew up to be skilled fighters, archers, and wrestlers. However, due to their demonic nature, as they grew older, they killed many humans and even tried to kill devas, who are the divine beings. All the devas and sages rushed to Paramashiva to address this problem. However, the two demons' powers came from the devotion that they had towards Paramashiva. Hence, he could not stop them nor take back his bones. So they all turned towards Devi Parashakti, the divine consort of Paramashiva, to help these demons. Devi Parashakti then assumed the form of a Mohini, a seductive and a beautiful maiden. She was accompanied by Lord Vishnu, who took the form of an old man. They made their way to a temple in the Tanjavur dedicated to Lord Vishnu called the Vetririnda Perumal Kovil. People began to gather there and men in the kingdom began to line up in asking for the beautiful Mohini's hand in marriage. Hearing of this, Amban and Ambarasuran rushed to the temple. There they saw Parashakti in the form of Mohini and both of them fell in love with her. They individually expressed their wish to marry her, but Vishnu in the form of the old man advised them that she would only choose one of them and she would choose whoever is fit to marry her. Hearing this, both the demons began to fight with each other and soon Amban won, and in doing so, he killed his brother Ambarasuran. And upon victory, Amban turned to Mohini to finally ask her for hand in marriage. However, when he turned to her, he saw that she had turned into Bhadrakali, a ferocious form of Devi. He became extremely afraid and transformed into a bull and ran away from her. This place where Amban transformed into a bull is called Kidamangalam. On seeing him run, Bhadrakali ran after him and killed him with her Trishul, the trident, at a place called Ambagartur. To this day, the soil in Ambagartur is naturally red, marking the spot where Bhadrakali defeated this demon, Amban.
After this incident, the people of the village requested Bhadrakali to reside there and protect them always. Thus, she stands in the temple facing north, which gives her the name Vata Bhadrakali. The temple was initially known as Ambar Haratur, meaning victory over Ambaran, which subsequently became Ambagaratur. However, since Bhadrakali had committed Brahmahatya, the sin of killing of Brahmins, the priestly caste in Hinduism, one of the gravest sins to commit, she created a Shivalinga with her own hands in Tirumangalam village and worshipped it to clear the repercussions of this sin.
The Shivalinga is now worshipped in an adjacent temple called Kovil Tirumakalam. And anyone with the dosha of Brahmahatya can worship Paramashiva at this temple to be free of it. Anyone who goes to Ambar Mahakalam Koil to worship Bhadrakali must also go to the Kovil Mahakalam to worship Paramashiva in order to finish the entire ritual of visiting this temple. As we can see, these are the divine leelas that Paramashiva and Parashakti themselves played to make themselves available eternally for all the human beings and for the entire creation. By being part of these leelas of Paramashiva and Parashakti, they made themselves available such that even any person would be able to experience and would be able to connect with Paramashiva. And till today, the tradition still exists. If they go to Devi Parashakti, Bhadrakali's temple, they'd also go over to Paramashiva's temple. Many years later, a sage named Madanga Maharishi lived in the same village. He was an ardent devotee of Paramashiva. Due to his sincere love and devotion, Paramashiva appeared before Madanga Maharishi in the form of Shanteshwarar and decided to live in that place in the form of a Shivalinga, which is now called the Matangeshwarar Shivalinga. Madanga Maharishi also prayed for a boon to have a child, and Paramashiva blessed him with a daughter who was the incarnation of Devi, Parashakti herself, and she was named Rajamatangi.
When she grew older, she prayed to Paramashiva for the boon to marry him. He granted her this boon, and she married Paramashiva at this temple. Since then, the deities of this temple are known for granting boons of successful marriage to all the younger couples, an unmarried person who come here. An unmarried couple can bring 2 red oleander early flower garland for the deities and perform archana, which is rituals and offering. After that, the boy or girl should get back 1 garland and wear it.
There is another beautiful happening here. The Somayaji Mara Nayanmar is one among the 63 Nayanmars who are the ardent devotees of Paramashiva. He wanted to perform a Somayagam with his wife Susilai in this temple on the day of Vaikasi Ailayam star, which is the second day of the Vaikasi Brahmotsavam. He was going to perform the yaga, which is a fire ritual in the temple, and he wanted Paramashiva himself to accept the offerings and attend the yagam. Another of the Nayanmars, Sundarar, had fallen in at that time, and Somaji Mara Nayanmar had healed him. Then Somaji Mara Nayanmar had asked Sundarar for help to invite Paramashiva for his yagam. Sundarar agreed for it, and Paramashiva appeared before them, saying that he would surely come for the yagam. However, his only condition was that Somaji Nayanmar should welcome him in any form that he appeared, no matter how ghastly. Again, one more Leela of Paramashiva. Somayaji Nayanmar immediately agreed, and on the day of Yagam, he eagerly awaited to spot Paramashiva. At the time of the offering of the final oblations, a poor and a haggard-looking man walked in with his wife and a dead calf on his shoulder. 4 dogs accompanied him. Many were frightened at this sight and left the ceremony, taking this as a sign of inauspiciousness. However, Vinayagar, Ganesha, who is the son of Paramashiva, appeared and revealed that this poor man was Paramashiva himself, accompanied by Devi and Skanda, who is his brother, and the dead calf was none other than Nandi himself. The 4 dogs were the 4 scriptures of Hinduism, the 4 Vedas. He was overjoyed and welcomed them to the yagam, offering the oblations to Paramashiva himself as per his wish. As you can see here, Paramashiva came down as a haggard-looking man, but he always is there testing the devotion. And those who have the true devotion can see through and understand that Paramashiva himself has manifested. The coronation of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism.
So now we'll look into the coronation of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. The Kailasa Paramparagata Swarnapita Sarvanyapita Swargapuram Samrajyam was handed over to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism in the year 2015, fulfilling the traditional ritualistic procedure. In 2018-19, Dandapani Desika Pandara Sannidhi, the 22nd Pontiff of the Swargapuram Adinam, initiated and completed the official documentation for the same.
Here we're looking at the photograph when the 22nd Guru Maha Sannidhanam ceremoniously passed the traditional deities of the Adinam to be worshipped by the Pontiff to the direct representatives of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, completing the procedure then. Here is the photograph of legally declaring the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism as the Pontiff of the Kailasa Paramparagata Swarnapita Sarvanyapita Swargapura Samrajyam. Here we are also looking at one of the rare photographs featuring Dandapani Desika Bandara Sannadhi who is the predecessor of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, the 22nd Pontiff of the Swargapuram Adinam. And on the right, we're looking at the photograph of the 232nd Guru Maha Sannidhanam of the Tondai Mandala Adinam, both of whom appointed the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, our beloved Swamiji, as their successors in their respective kingdoms. So this has been a brief history of the Swargapura Samrajyam and how the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism revived the Swargapura Samrajyam. It's now time that we enter into the next segment of today's session. Please stay tuned as we enter into the next segment after a short break.
Time itself is nothing but your decision to struggle with the same rut. Your decision to struggle with the same rut is time, Kala. Your decision to swallow time is Kala Bhairava. Stand. Be a conscious woman or man. Be conscious being. Shrink the time through conscious will persistence. Make the future into present by being ferocious with yourself.
Nithyanandam, welcoming back all the participants watching us live on YouTube, Facebook, and the various other social media platforms. And we just saw about the wonderful coronation of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism as the Emperor of the Swargapuram Samrajyam, which is the kingdom of Swargapura. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is the incumbent Emperor of the Swargapuram, the Swargapita. And we have seen today, as part of the 20th day of the Avatar Dinotsava celebrations, the Jayanti celebrations, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, we celebrated the coronation of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism as the Emperor of the Swargapura Pitha, the Swargapuram kingdom. And now let us move on to the next segment, where we will now be seeing about the social media, how Devi Parashakti and the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is continuously gracing all of us and blessing all of us in so many of the social media platforms. And let us now see how we can reach out to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and Devi Parashakti in the social media platforms.
Nithyanandam. So the best way to connect with Devi Parashakti is comment live on YouTube video, where most likely you may be seeing this feed. So first you need to go on Kailasa's HDH Nithyananda YouTube channel, and you need to click on join. Once you click on join and do the membership, you can ask your questions here in the comment box. So that's the best way to connect with Devi Parashakti on YouTube live. And your comments and questions, gratitudes will be answered by Devi Parashakti. The next way to connect with Devi Parashakti is through Facebook video. The Facebook video page for Kailasa's Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanand Nithyananda Paramashivam, is Kailasa's HDH Nithyananda Paramashivam. Here you can click on the like button and follow button, and you will be notified when Bhagwan goes live or Devi Parashakti goes live. And you click on ask your questions in the comment section below. So that's the way to connect with Devi Parashakti on Facebook video. The next channel for Devi Parashakti to connect is through Twitter. You can reply to tweet by @Shri Nithyananda in the Twitter. The official Twitter handle for Devi Parashakti for Kailasa's Supreme Pontiff SPH JGM HDH Nithyananda Paramashivam. So that is the official page, and the handle for that is @Shri Nithyananda. Yes. So first thing you need to do is follow the official channel on Twitter, and you can click on the bell icon. When you click on the bell icon, you will be notified whenever Bhagwan goes live. You can ask your questions in the reply section of the tweet with #AskTheAvatar right here. So here you can ask your questions in the reply section to Devi Parashakti, your comments, gratitude, and you can also share this with your friends and family. The next way to connect with Devi Parashakti is ask questions on Instagram feed. So the Instagram feed, the official handle for Instagram is Shri Nithyananda, and you can click on this icon. So you will follow Bhagwan Nithyananda, Sri Kailasa's SPH JGM Nithyananda. That's the official page for Instagram. And you can ask your questions and comment in the live feed here. So this is the way to ask questions on Instagram feed post. The next way to connect with Devi Parashakti is ask questions on the WhatsApp chat in kailasa.org. So you can go on kailasa.org website, and on the top left side, you'll see the chat on WhatsApp. So you click on chat on WhatsApp, and when the pop-up comes, Kailasa's support team is here to answer. When you get that, you ask the questions in the WhatsApp chat here. So these are the 5 different ways you can connect with Devi Parashakti. And you can ask your questions, comments, you can share your experiences and offer and gratitude in the chat. With this, we conclude the okay. Yes. With this, now we enter the new section of offerings to Devi Parashakti. So this is the Kriya Pada of where you can do your offerings to Devi Parashakti in.
Yes, as Sri Nithyananda Maharaj was explaining, we have seen about the various ways on how we can connect to Devi Parashakti through the 5 social media, and we will now be moving into the offerings to Devi Parashakti after a short break.
Time itself is nothing but your decision to struggle with the same rut. Your decision to struggle with the same rut is time, Kala. Your decision to swallow time is Kala Bhairava. Stand. Be a conscious woman or man. Be conscious being. Shrink the time through conscious will persistence. Make the future into present by being ferocious with yourself.
Nithyananda, welcoming back all the participants watching us live on YouTube, Facebook, and the various other social media platforms. We will now be moving into the offerings to Devi Parashakti, the various offerings, how we can connect to Devi Parashakti through the Kriya Pada of the Agamas. Bhagavan Paramashiva in the Agamas and Vedas has beautifully revealed the various offerings, the various jewelry that we can offer to Devi Parashakti and the various offerings. And we will now be seeing that. The first offering, now we will be seeing the context for the offerings to Devi Parashakti. The Shastra Pramana for the context is here from the Bhagavata Purana, the verse 37. Dharmaya yashaserthaya kamaya swajanaya cha panchadha vibhajan vittam ihamutra cha modate.
Nithyanandam, one part should be used for dharma, dana, The second, for the yasha, public works, which bring fame to oneself. Third, should be reinvested to generate more wealth. And fourth, for kama, enjoyment of material things. And fifth, for one's family and friends. So 20% should be donated for dharma.
The next, we have the Shastra Pramana from the Dharma Shastras for the context of offerings to Devi Parashakti. Grihe dashagunam danam goshthe chaiva shatadhikam punyatirtheshu sahasram antatam shiva sannidhau.
Dana given at home yields 10 times as much merit as when made elsewhere, 100 times when made in Goshala, cowpen, 1000 times when made in sacred places like tirthas, and infinite number of times when made in Shivalinga, in visit. Yes, this is according to the Dharma Shastra.
The next, we have the Shastra Pramana from the Brahmanda Purana, the verse 55 and 56. Danam trividhamityetat anishtajyeshtham madhyamam tatra naishreyasam jyeshtham kanishtham swartha siddhage karunyat sarvabhuteshu samvibhagastu madhyamaha.
Dana given in order to achieve moksha, nishreyas, is considered the most valuable form of dana. Dana given out of pity or kindness for others or for one's own kith and kin is considered to be a medium value. It is also called daya danam. Dana given to achieve one's own selfish ends is known as the least valued of all.
We will now be moving into the offerings to Devi Parashakti, and I request all the participants to, if you want to make any offering to Devi Parashakti, you can always feel free to comment in the YouTube chat and in the various social media platforms where the Acharyas would be able to reach all of you and help guide you to make the offerings. We will now be moving on to the main offerings to Devi Parashakti after a short break.
Time itself is nothing but your decision to struggle with the same rut. Your decision to struggle with the same rut is time, Kala. Your decision to swallow time is Kala Bhairava. Stand. Be a conscious woman or man. Be conscious being. Shrink the time through conscious will persistence. Make the future into present by being ferocious with yourself. Time itself is nothing but your decision to struggle with the same rut. Your decision to struggle with the same rut is time, Kala. Your decision to swallow time is Kala Bhairava. Stand. Be a conscious woman or man. Be conscious being. Shrink the time through conscious will persistence. Make the future into present by being ferocious with yourself.
Nithyananda, welcoming back all the participants watching us live on YouTube, Facebook, and the various social media platforms. We will now be moving on to the offerings to Devi Parashakti. The first offering is the offering of the E-Hundi. The Shastra Pramana for the offering is Bhakti Priya Bhakti Gamya Bhakti Vashya Bhayapaha Shambhavi Sharadaradhya Sharvani Sharmadayini.
Nithyananda, Devi is fond of true devotion and is realized through true devotion. She can be won over through true devotion. She removes all the fear. E-Hundi. If there is any fear in the minds of devotee, Devi is sure to remove that fear. It is stated that Devi likes to be worshipped in autumn. Here, it is meant that autumn of our lives, when thoughts turn more and more inwards, the role of the divine is known and understood clearly. The need for Devi worship becomes more stronger. Shambhavi, the consort of Shambhu, Lord Shiva, Sharadaradhya means worshipped by Shraddha, Saraswati. Shravani, wife of Lord Shiva. Linga Purana says Lord Shiva is called Sharva in this his earth form. Shramadayini, Devi, who bestows happiness on devotees. You can offer your gratitude and devotion to Devi Parashakti by offering your Kanika, and your name shall be chanted out during the puja to Devi.
The next is the offering of the Sankalpa chanting, which is the offering of the Sankalpa to the divine, where you can give your name and your intention, the conscious resolution that you are carrying, and the Sankalpa will be chanted in the Nithyanandeshwara Paramashiva Devalayam. Here we have the Shastra Pramana for the Sankalpa chanting from the Devi Mahatmyam, the chapter 12, verse 34. तयै तन्मोह्यते विश्वं सैव विश्वं प्रसूयते साया चित्ता च विज्ञानं तुष्टारुद्धिं प्रयच्छति.
The meaning of this beautiful verse is the goddess enchants this universe and she herself gives birth to this universe. That goddess, being prayed without interest in anything, gives that knowledge that leads to salvation and gives wealth in materialistic sense. Devi Mahatmyam, chapter 12, verse 34. And the nominal price for this offering is $1. Now we'll move. The Sankalpa chanting, the offering of the Sankalpa, conscious resolution, blesses the person offering with all fruition of desires and wishes he is yearning for. The gold, the significance of divine element gold. Gold is present in all scriptures, Vedas, Agamas, Shrutis, Smritis, Itihasas, and Puranas. In all Hindu scriptures, it is abundantly displayed that gold is the most auspicious and purest metal which purifies our being. In the Hindu civilization, everything was built in gold, exchanged in gold. Ritual feasts were offered in gold bricks. When one was to be saved from life-threatening illnesses, gold was offered as a ritual fee. Gold was in abundance and used for weighing equivalent amounts of commodities, including the cows. Kingdoms were built with huge doors of gold. The streets would have huge columns and huge archways made of gold. Horses, cows were dressed in gold. Hindu civilization thrived on the banks of rivers of gold. Indus River, the Sindhu River, was called Hiranyamaya, river of gold in Rig Veda. The river Saraswati was called Hiranyavartini in the Atharva Veda. Gold is the supreme element for offering gifts to the ones you love and revere. Temples are constructed and paved in gold. Deities are made in gold and decked and adorned in gold because they preserve the enlightenment energy for thousands of years. It lasts forever. The offering to Devi Parashakti, the Sahasranama Swarna Kasu. The offering price for this seva is $75, $151, and $251. The Shastra Pramana for this offering is Nama Parayana Prita, she who likes repetition of her various names. Lalita Sahasranama, verse 731. This is the offering of 1008 names of Devi Parashakti. It is a very special and unique archana offered to the Mahameru of Devi Parashakti. The offer gold coin to Devi Parashakti to manifest any dimension or attribute of hers that you always wanted to imbibe within.
The next offering is the offering of the Mukta Angoti, the finger ring with a pearl. The donation amount for this offering is $251, $501, and $750 USD. We have the Shastra Pramana from the Meenakshi Pancharatnam, the verse 2. मुक्ताहारलसत्किरीटरुचिरां पूर्णेन्दुवक्त्रप्रभां सिञ्जन्नूपुरकिङ्किनी मणिधरां पद्मप्रभाभासुरां सर्वाभीष्टफलप्रदां गिरिसुतां वाणीरमासेवितां मीनाक्षीं प्रणतोऽस्मि सन्ततमहं Karunyavaranidhim.
The meaning of this verse is, I bow down to Goddess Meenakshi, whose crown has garlands of pearls and the face shining like a full moon, who wears anklets that are studded with gemstones and has small bells. She is shining like a splendor of lotus, who grants all the wishes, the daughter of the mountain, who is worshipped by Goddess Vani and Rama. I remain ever bowing to Goddess Meenakshi, the ocean of compassion. The offer, the Mukta Anguti, finger ring with pearl, the donation amount is $251, 501 and $750. Offer finger ring with pearl to Cosmic Mother and experience the blessings and healing with your own mother.
We will now be moving on to the next offering to Devi Parashakti, which is the Swarna Padma Pushpa, the golden lotus. The offering amount for this offering is $600, and we have the Shastra Pramana from the Kamikagama. अष्टविद्येष्वरोपेता कुम्भवर्णसंयुतं सर्वे ससूत्रवस्त्राढ्या हेमपङ्कजभूषिता सपीधानः सपूर्चश्च पक्वबिल्वफलप्रभा स्नपनाध्याय संसिद्धा प्रमाणेन समन्विता.
All the kalashas should be wound around with suitable thread and covered with new cloth. They should be adorned with the lotus flowers made of gold. Swarna Padma Pushpa, the golden lotus, the offering donation is $600. There are hundreds of scriptural references for using lotus in the worship of Paramashiva. Almost everything in worship of ultimate involves the consecration of deities of worship or meditating on the mudras and asanas used during the worship involves the lotus flower, the lotus leaf, lotus pericard, lotus petals. The lotus is the divine flower. Shakti of Paramashiva is also called as lotus. The base of Paramashiva Linga is lotus. The disciples of Paramashiva is also considered as a lotus about to bloom. The Swarna Padma Pushpa, golden lotus, the cost is $600. Offer the gold lotus in any size you wish and express the gratitude to Tyaga and sacrifice of your mother.
The next offering to Devi Parashakti is the offering of the Swarna Meti, the golden toe ring. The donation amount for this offering is $750, and we have the Shastra Pramana. Nakhaditi sanchanna namajjanatamo guna padadvaya prabhajala parakrita saroruha.
You, the meaning of this verse is you whose brightness from the toenails destroys the darkness of ignorance from the minds of your devotees who prostrate at your feet. You whose brightness from your 2 feet overpowers the lotus flower too. Swarnamethi, the gold toe ring, the donation amount is $750. Offer the toe ring to Devi, adorning her sacred feet to be in the constant gratitude for receiving her blessings in even the most difficult aspects of our life. The Swarna Mangatika, the gold hairline jewelry, the donation amount for this offering is $750. The Shastra Pramana for this offering is Sudha Sarabhi Varshini. She who makes nectar flow in all our nerves from Sahasrahara, that is, she who gives the very pleasant experience of the ultimate. The Mangatika represents the nectar flowing from Sahasrahara Chakra be opened. Offer the Mangatika to Devi and receive blessings. Offering. Now we'll come back after short break and give the offerings to the Guru.
Time itself is nothing but your decision to struggle with the same rut. Your decision to swallow time is Kala Bhairava. Stand. A conscious woman or man, being. Shrink the time through conscious will persistence. Make the future into present by being ferocious with
Nithyanandam, welcoming back all the participants watching us on Facebook, YouTube, and media. The various offerings, the Devi Parashakti, and going on to the Guru, the offerings to the Hindus, Guru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness, Bhagavan, the 8th day of the